Where is your mom, and why is she there?
She's in prison because I don't really know how to explain it.
It's because, like, I kind of know why she's in jail, but I know she's not supposed to be in there because I know kind of what happened at the same time, too.
When they announced the verdict, I was shocked, you know?
It was outrageous.
I was thinking about the case, like how many years we sentenced. Was it the right amount, or did we make a mistake?
Any other person I've told about it, everyone just thinks it's not right.
Her only crime is not getting help when she should have.
If I would have known, it would have definitely changed my mind, and I guarantee it would have changed many others on the jury as well.
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from an incarcerated individual at Naval Bassett Correctional Center.
I really believe that, if I told the truth, then, everything was going to be okay. But it doesn't work that way.
Carrie King didn't hurt her children, but she spent the last 7 years locked in a cell because someone else close to her did. I'm Samantha Michaels, a criminal justice reporter for Mother Jones.
I'm reaching out because I'm working on a documentary.
When I learned about a little-known law that's tearing apart families and targeting women, disproportionately women of color, I went to Oklahoma to look into Carrie's case myself.
When I first went to jail, Persia was 8, William was 7, Lila was 5, and then she turned 6 that year.
Persia, look at Persia's face. She looks all angry.
With Carrie now in prison, her 3 oldest children live with their dad and Carrie's ex-husband, Jordan Lale Parvaron.
Is this Uncle's phone?
Man, that's Uncle Floyd.
Oh, Uncle Floyd, yeah. That's that.
Persia's personality, she's really silly when you can get her to be. Lila, she likes to joke a lot, but then that artistic side of her, she'll get real serious when she's drawing. William, he's my little sweet man. He's kind of a little bit of a smart aleck sometimes, just a little bit.
We also have this picture.
What's this one?
It's a picture of my mom.
That's super cute. Can you tell me, where is this?
That's at the prison she's at now.
Jordan and Carrie were married for 5 years. He abused her repeatedly, and in 2011, he went to prison for domestic violence. Carrie started dating a man named John. That relationship turned abusive too. John used heroin. He forced Carrie to try it. He hit, cut, and choked her, but Carrie said she never saw him hurt her kids. But one night, when they were both high, Carrie woke up to find John in Lila's bedroom.
He had his hands like this on her, his fingers kind of around her neck. I asked him, what's going on? What are you in here doing with my kid? And he says, oh, nothing, we're just pillow fighting. And then she starts to whimper, and I just hit him. He jumped on top of me immediately and started hitting me and choking me and tells me, what makes you think you can hit me? He grabs me by my hair and starts pulling me out and throwing me into the wall. And he tells me she had to be punished.
John ordered Carrie to hold Lila down so he could spank her. Carrie reluctantly agreed.
What do you believe is going to happen if you don't let him punish her?
That it could get worse and he could end up killing us.
She hoped that if she complied with his demand, the beating would end quicker.
He hit her twice. I told him he's hitting her too hard. I climbed on top of her.
Carrie threw her body across her daughter, absorbing his belt lashes on her own back.
I'm telling him, just leave her alone, leave her alone, leave her alone. Then he grabs me by the hair and pulls me off and throws me into the wall.
Carrie tried to run out of the house to get help.
I got to the front door, halfway opened it, pushes it closed and pushes me up against the wall and starts choking me. Tells me, you ain't going nowhere.
Carrie was now separated from her daughter Lila. John had her cell phone. She wasn't able to call the police.
It was so horrible, and it seemed like forever. I just wanted to go in there, but I was so scared.
The police weren't alerted until the next morning. They arrived at the house, arrested John, and took Lila to a doctor to examine her injuries.
They said she had been beaten so badly, it was like she was in a rollover car accident at, I forget how many miles per hour, and that she had bruises behind her ears on the bottom of her feet, where people don't get bruises.
I didn't look at the pictures. There was pictures of everything, and I wouldn't look at them.
Less than a week later, police brought Carrie in for questioning.
Your job as the mom is to protect your child, and you didn't, and you failed. You didn't protect her. You didn't do what you needed to do. That's why we're at this point right now. That's why you're going to jail today.
When I got arrested, I told the truth, and I expected them to hear me and to want to help me.
Painful, and I'll put it over your
shirt. It doesn't work that way.
Carrie was charged under an Oklahoma law called failure to protect. It requires parents to shield their kids from physical harm if they're aware or reasonably should have known that another adult was abusing or might abuse the child.
What's problematic about a failure to protect law, oftentimes it is not applied equally across women and men.
While the language of these laws refers to parents and other caretakers, prosecutors overwhelmingly target mothers, not fathers.
In my experience, it seems like society has a much higher expectation of care on the woman in a family unit than they would on the male.
The law disproportionately affects Black women, who are more likely to experience domestic violence themselves, and reporting an abuser can trigger even more abuse.
They do not feel safe to report because they're in a dangerous situation, and then the harm just continues and perpetuates.
I was just as much of a victim as my daughter was. They should not just look at that one day. They have to look at every day and see what all that I went through and how I had gotten to the point of that day.
But Carrie won't find a sympathetic ear in prosecutor Sarah McAmis.
I've had a lot of traumatic experiences, and you wouldn't understand that.
So are you telling this jury you have had a more traumatic experience than what Lila experienced that night?
I've never been in a jury before, so maybe that's normal, but the prosecutor was very hard.
What could be more significant than the night that your daughter was tortured so bad that you have now spent a year in jail for it?
I feel like I did everything I could with what I had available to me. I didn't have a way to run away. I know I couldn't fight him. I tried to do that, so I didn't see how I allowed him to hurt my child. That's just not what happened.
Juries are extremely punitive towards women who have children being hurt in their home. And we judge that extremely harshly here in Oklahoma.
Across the country, most states have similar failure to protect laws. But Oklahoma has one of the harshest penalties. Parents can be sent to prison for life, with no exception for women who were abused themselves.
The law says you have to protect your child. And you know what it doesn't say? It doesn't say you have to protect your child unless you think you're a victim yourself. Bummer for you, Lila. Protect yourself.
And I just look over at the jury and I just didn't see any sympathetic faces, none.
She needs to be in prison at least until her youngest child is a full-grown adult. You should sentence her to 20 years.
Everybody looked like they were against me.
The jury deliberated for less than an hour.
A jury of your peers has found you guilty of the felony of permitting child abuse by injury and fixed your punishment at 30 years.
My life is over. I'm not going to see my kids, grow up and nothing. It's like my life is over.
I did the time in my head, and the kids will be my age at the time when she would be getting out. Her only crime is not getting help when she should have, and he actually did the crime, but he's going to get out before her.
Carrie received a 30-year prison sentence. John took a plea deal and received an 18-year prison sentence, 12 years shorter than Kerry's.
The jury did not know that the boyfriend received less time than Kerry did.
One of the reasons in these cases that women get sentenced so harshly is because they get severed from the male's case. They're totally separate defendants in the eyes of the law.
One of the jurors on there asked the judge what he was sentenced, and they told us that it was a different case, so we didn't need to worry about it. And then after the trial was over, they then told us how long he was sentenced for. If I would have known that the boyfriend had gotten way less years, the sentence would have been different, would have definitely changed my mind, and I guarantee it would have changed many others.
The kids went to live with Kerry's ex-husband, Jordan, even though the court knew that he had previously abused Kerry.
The hardest part about being in prison was being away from my children and my family. Can we see y'all? And being convicted of something that you have no idea what this is, what permitting mean, what failure to protect mean. I like to do this one deal with him, watch this. And then the not knowing if you're gonna ever get out, because they said I was supposed to get out 2043.
Tondaleo Hall was convicted of failure to protect in 2006. Her ex-boyfriend broke bones in 2 of her children's legs, and he served 2 years in jail. She received a 30-year prison sentence.
These judges and the DAs and all of them, they already had their mind made up. Because look, it's a child involved. And I understand that your heart is about the child. My heart is about the child too, but I didn't allow him to do that, you know? No way. No, I didn't allow him to do that. You know, but you don't know that I was abused. I didn't know that he done that to my children.
While in prison, Tondaleo saw firsthand how the law and the way it's enforced is racist.
A girl came up to me and said she got 7 years for failure to protect. She was a white girl. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm counting how many black people that we got in here together. And I'm like, how you get 7 years? I got 30. The homegirl over here got 35. This lady over here got a life without parole. That lady right there, she got a life. This girl right here, she got a 32. And then I was looking at the ratio of white people and I said, man, what is going on?
In 2019, after 15 years in prison, she received a commutation from the governor, resulting in an early release.
I just start hugging my family. I was just so amazed at seeing my kids because they were so big, because they were small whenever I left. You know, so I was like, oh my gosh. And I was just so grateful, humbly grateful, very humbly grateful.
The ACLU believes Tondaleo is the first and only woman charged with failure to protect who has been released early from an Oklahoma prison. Since then, the state's Pardon and Parole Board has rejected requests for early release from all other women with similar cases. Efforts to soften sentences for failure to protect in Oklahoma have not been successful. It's a tough sell. Politicians don't want to appear weak on child abuse cases.
We have enough data now to know that this law, the way it's being enforced, and probably the way it's written, are not working.
In a groundbreaking review, Mother Jones examined more than 1 million court records and found that hundreds of Oklahomans were charged with failure to protect since 2009. 90% of those incarcerated were women. Attorneys in multiple states tell me they've never seen a man prosecuted for failure to protect in cases like Kerry's. Mother Jones found relatively few examples. What's more, Black people are disproportionately charged under the law. They make up 8% of Oklahoma's total population, but 19% of those found guilty since 2009. But most of these cases go under the radar. Kerry was likely just one of hundreds of people prosecuted across the United States in recent years.
When you're considering policy, it's not only important to consider the heart of why you're doing it, but also the effect of it. How is it actually going to play out on the ground?
I mostly call them, but I do occasionally write letters trying to, just give them some advice and just show them that I love them more than anything, that no matter what, their mom loves them. Persia, she's in orchestra. She's played for me on the phone, you know, but it's just to, you know, be able to see my baby up there on stage. It would have been really, really, like, just magnificent, you know. And my son, he's probably trying to go out for football and everything. I would love to be there to watch him and cheer for him at games. And then Lila with her being so artistic, I didn't even realize she was so artistic until recently.
Sometimes I just really miss her, or I just want to talk to her. That's what I want for the future, to see my mom again, and I don't know, like just see her maybe like every day, not just once a month.
Happy birthday. I just hope that they grow up and become successful, and that I can get out of here and be there for them and be the mom that I always knew that I was.